everyone. How are you? Delighted to be here today. This is South by Southfork. I'm Ann Welker, Suffolk County Legislator for the 2nd District, which extends from Montauk Point to Mauritius Inlet. I'm thrilled today to have with us the president of the Third House Nature Center, Ed Johann. Ed, would you just start by speaking a bit about the history of Third House Nature Center and also its really unique place within a Suffolk County park too?
Sure, thank you. Thank you very much, Ann. Third House Nature Center began a little over 30 years ago in 1993 when Carol Morrison, who was with CCOM, thought that it was really important that we do something about having environmental education for young people. Montauk has 6,000 acres of park owned by various agencies. She asked the question, why aren't we doing more to get kids out into the park? And that's how it began. Stephanie Cruiser, who was a longtime member of our group, was an educator who helped to get some organization. And for years, what it was a nature club primarily, which still continues today. And that was taking kids who were 9, 10, 11 years old, get them in the park, walk them around, get them to see what was in our park, to begin with, the Suffolk County Park in Montauk, but also to see some other areas, take them to the lighthouse, get to the walking dunes, talk about the many, many varied environments that could be studied. And that's how it proceeded for the first 6 or 7 years. I became involved around 2000 when Carol kind of shanghaied me into it and said, you have to get involved with us because I know you're interested in the environment. And I had kids at the time who were of the right age. And it wasn't very long after that by appointment almost, I became president of the group. And we then tried to expand into certain other areas. Let's do some more things within the environment if we have the manpower and the energy to do it. So we established a board that becomes, I've always said that the organization is an elbow grease organization. We get done whatever anybody is willing to help us do. It's not funded particularly well in a lot of areas. We don't have any paid employees. We have people who care about either the history of the property, the history of the land, and the environment as a whole. And what can we do to provide more educational opportunities, entertainment opportunities for people within the park? And that's how it proceeded. And over the years, the board has come and gone and grown a little bit. And we've tried to bring in other things. We will do films, we'll do lectures, we'll do workshops, we'll do classes. And now we've developed a fairly healthy program we have more than 40 events this year that are going to go on in the house. Some of them are repetitive ones and musical events that come and go. And once we entered into a relationship with Suffolk County Park with a 20-year contract to provide programming within the building. And once we entered into that contract with them, we became a little more ambitious about saying, well, what else can we do in the building to get the public in, to get them to understand what it looks like in here, how historic it is, and how important it is. And that helped us to grow. And the whole relationship between Third House Nature Center and the county is important because it was always begun with the idea that this historic house, Third House, should be used as much as possible. And early on, that was Carol's real intention. She was a tiger about let's get out there and do as much as we can. Very important person in the history of environmentalism on the East End. And she pushed for that, and I think it was a successful one. We got a little interrupted when the county initiated a renovation of Third House in 2005, and that went on back and forth for a good long time. But fortunately, that period ended, and in the last 5 years or so, we've been able to be more ambitious about the things that we can do. The park is open to us, and we can get out and do some things. So our relationship with the county is important because we work with Richard Martin, who is the county historian. We work with Nick Gibbons, who is their chief environmental officer. We have a program that we think might make sense in the park, and a little later we'll show you some photos of an osprey platform. We call Nick and say, boy, we really want to see if we can put an osprey platform up in one where there had historically been one we lost in a hurricane. And then we talk about the project and we move forward. And the same thing historically with Richard. We added historic photos in the house. We added some other information available to the public as they come in. And we run it by him, and we work kind of symbiotically to see if we can't get something to make the house come alive for the people who get a chance to visit it. And that's been pretty much our goal. And like I say, we're a volunteer organization, been around for more than 30 years. And I would say that from the outside, I'm on the inside, from the outside, people think we're fairly ambitious. We try to get as much done as we can. And we've had quite a bit of success lately. And I'm going to give you the prop right now to say that you were the one who pushed for us to get a cultural grant, which opened doors for us to then say, let's bring in an event that previously might have been money we wouldn't have had, but now we can. So we're in the middle of a Native American lecture series right now. That's 5 that has brought in some experts in the field to talk about the anthropological aspects of early Native life on the East End. So we're dealing with people who have been brought in who can really deliver some important content to us. That kind of thing is enabled by the fact that the cultural grant has given us enough money to pay for speakers, to pay for housing if need be, and that sort of thing. So that's helped. So I think it's been a very nice relationship between us at this point, the county as a whole, and your office, because I think it's enabled us to open some doors that hadn't been opened for a long time.
I'm so glad to hear that. Ed, just so that people are clear, talk about where Third House is,
Okay, sure.
because I'm sure many people have zipped right past it
Yeah,
on their way to
yeah.
the lighthouse. And there's also maybe some confusion between Second House and Third House. And is there a First House?
There was, there isn't any longer. Yeah, so the interesting thing, one of the things we find when we run events is a lot of people come to events because they come because they're advertised and they want to see a musical event or an art event. We'll say, I didn't know this house was here, I didn't know this park was here. And we were involved with Hampton Shakespeare Festival years ago, and one of the things that I was there every night, and we would stand at the bridge, and as people left, they'd say, thank you for inviting me in, I didn't know the park was here. That's part of our goal now. How many people can we introduce to the park to see this? But the history of ranching and Montauk, and we have the sign across the way, the Deep Hollow Ranch, oldest cattle ranch in America, which it is, goes back to the early proprietors looking to establish an opportunity to raise sheep and cattle in Montauk because they looked at if you come across the stretch, of course, in that peak, the old highway and the new highway diverged. Before they were there, that was the perfect spot to perhaps fence off and allow all grazing and the rest of it. So all of Montauk was at one point cleared and grazed. First House was down near Hither Hills. The remnants of that burned down early in the 20th century. There has been an effort to locate it anthropologically to make sure people know where it is. The state has been very good about trying to bring some preservation to that site. Second House, which is owned by the town of East Hampton but is leased to the Historical Society, is in the midst of a renovation, and they have their own events. They own the lighthouse, of course, and they personally own the lighthouse, and they lease the Fisher House, Carl Fisher House. They have events, and they're in the midst of having that. And that was a center where really you can talk about being more of a shepherd's center, Shepherd's Neck Road there. It was an easy place for sheep to be raised and to be gathered up into Shepherd's Neck. A fence could keep them in and a guard could watch out for them. But the cattle started up and was a little further out, and they had to add a third house. Now, the third house was added in the late 18th century, and immediately there was a need for somebody to patrol. If we're going to let cattle run free, it's important to have somebody there who would say, okay, 2 people in a canoe could pull up, or a boat, with an arrow, take the steer, and they'd have food for the year. So you had to patrol for that. But there was also the basic animal husbandry and shipping. And they did a lot of live shipping of animals, and put them on a barge and send them out. Some would go as nearby as Sag Harbor for whaling crews, things like that. So it started slowly, it grew over the years, and by the mid-19th century, there was many cattle there that they had to keep expanding the number of people who could help, regulate what was going on. So there's a very rich history, a cowboy history of right there as an epicenter at Third House. And Third House is about 2.5 miles east of the village. And most people driving out know that the road begins to rise to the lighthouse. And right there is the barn, the horse barn, which is owned by Suffolk County, but is a livery. It's leased by a family that runs it as a business, and you can go there and ride horses down onto the beach. It's lovely. It's a nice thing to do. And right before that sits a very large house. I think we have a photo of it too, if he wants to put it up.
Oh,
I'll
that's
just show
great.
the house, yeah.
Oh,
So this is
perfect.
third house, and what you'll see is that this was built in stages, but that center section behind the flagpole was built in 1806. So when we take people in the house, that center section was in 1806. The section closer to us on this end was added in the 1870, 1871. And what you can't see on the far side was a section that was added during what was the Dude Ranch era, which started with a fellow Cooper in 1938 and continued on for the next 25 years or so. And so there's a lot of remnants on the property and evidence of what it was like during the Dude Ranch era. There are cabins that housed families that came out. And some of the rooms in the wing closest to us here, the west wing, were accommodated for family accommodations, were changed for that. The county has done a significant amount of renovation over the year. They did some restructuring of the inside rooms to make for office space. But now when people come, we're able to tour the building. We have some visual displays. We have historic photos up. We have lots of literature around, a good many books. And we can talk about a little bit also that everybody likes to know about the Teddy history, Teddy Roosevelt and Camp Wyckoff. And of course, they did not sleep in the house. Teddy slept with his men on the ground. He was very bully. My men are on the ground, I'm on the ground. But the house was certainly used, and there's can always be the question of, did anyone spend the night here during that time? But the house had a long and rich history as being a wayfarer stopover. And so in a way, it became an impromptu inn, somebody coming and going. Walt Whitman went to the lighthouse and wrote a book on Eagle's Beak. Coming back from there, winds up spending the night at Third House. So this is a kind of history that's gone on with it. It's very rich and very interesting. And what we try to do when people come there, we have a docent program, we're open in the summers on Saturdays and Sundays, is walk people through, give them a little of the history, the varied history of the different ways in which the land was used. And and just try to, let them know that there's such a rich and important history growing out of this here. One of the things that's harder to suggest with concrete evidence here is the 6,500 years that Native Americans inhabited the land. So it's always important to point out that while we concentrate on colonial history forward, for more than 6,000 years, John Strong was the expert in that area. When I talked to him one time, he said, well, absolutely, 6,500 years ago is a safe number to say there was culture here, there were villages here, there were traditions here. And that's 300 generations of people living symbiotically on the land. And one of the things about the park is 1,188 acres. And we go out in the park, and there are a number of burial sites. There is a place everyone refers to as the Indian Village, where we see the foundations are left. There are no structures, but foundations are left of the last real settlement within the park area. And John Strong points out that maybe the most important wintering grounds on all of the east end of Long Island was right within our park on the banks of Big Reed Pond.
Really?
Because fresh water was available. And with fresh water available, it meant that if you had collected food all year long, you had a place where you could count on the water that you needed to continue to feed your people. So I think we had some other photos. If you want to just go through, I'll show you a couple of things about activities. One of the things we've done is, what can we do to invite different kinds of people in the park? My background is in environmentalism. Some of the members of our group their background is environmental or horticulturally oriented. But Lori Hubbard, who lives right adjacent to the park and runs musical programs in schools and libraries around, we were very much in tune with the idea that what can we do to draw people in here who might have a different interest? So we started with this picking on the porch. This is the porch there, where if you were to look in the middle of that, you'll see people with guitars, and we have lots of little videos of this. And Lori does a round where we invite people, if you bought a guitar yesterday morning or you've been doing it for 30 years, just show up. Because Lori will turn to someone who doesn't know what they're holding in their hand and say, let me teach you two chords, C and D. And that'll be enough, and I'll motion and you can strum along. And other people have their own. One of the other events we've done, and this is the main room, this was the dining room, and this is a picture of what was we did an Americana Christmas. And you see the crowd sitting in here. We can configure this room in many ways, but as a meeting room, a lecture room, it's where we have our primary larger events. Here was an event from last Christmas. We had a very nice crowd. People came in, and they got to hear 4 or 5 different artists play and then get together at the end for a roundup on it. Lori's there on the right. We use this very often for a variety of events, but the music events have been popular. This is back in the bar, to point this out, because we also reach out to, this was a Girl Scout group, was having a spring celebration. We've done a number of projects. We can use this room by setting up tables. We just did a nest box program for bluebird boxes that we put up in the park, that these girls helped us. We did some construction on it. They helped decorate, number them. We went out and installed them on poles that were put in by another part of one of our other programs. And you can see a little bit of the general nature of the house here. There's some photos, historic ones up, and some other environmental displays up within the house that we can use to instruct people about what we do there and what we hope will happen. I think there's another inside one here. Here's us working with our, we have an intern program, a high school intern program, which we're very proud of and happy about. Several years ago, we were looking to do as much as we could educating kids to, educating high school kids to come out and really appreciate the park, something on that next level. If you really have a specific interest, if we can get you to take that next step, come out, let's work on a serious project all winter. And we started with a program that we wanted to see happen, where we would get high school seniors, and we would meet every Sunday, which we do, every Sunday throughout the school year. We take off holidays, of course. And it enables us, with that length of time, to choose a particular project for those kids. General information, general knowledge about the environments in the park, the different.
Gosh, that's great.
And
Are they
then we're-
mostly East Hampton High School?
They're East Hampton
or
High
from-
School, and that's just the logistic thing, to reach
Sure.
out for kids to come Sunday morning from any further away. But the most important part of highlighting that program is to say that we were kind of dead in the water on that, because we really wanted to have something financially to offer to get these kids involved. And the Garden Club of East Hampton had a program that they worked with Larry Penny, and Larry had said, this is a nice marriage here. If you guys have a program you're willing to take kids in, and the Garden Club can supply the muscle. So the Garden Club supplies a scholarship for every kid who completes it. And so you're a high school senior, if there's a high school senior out there, or soon to be senior next year, you can look into us. We take you out. We go out every week. We study in the park. We talk about the health of Big Reed Pond, which is important to us, and other aspects of the park. And we always find an individual project for that year. What can we do about with these kids? It's going to be a little different than we did the others. We'll study the pond this year, do a tree trail another year, do something studying the marshes and the evolution of the marsh. What can we do that's going to be the next level up that they can take with them and then use as a reference? And that's been important to us too. That's something that we've had. And it's all, I will say, you have to give credit, it's the Garden Club of East Hampton who really supplies the muscle on this, because they're the ones who say, we're going to give every kid who complete your program $2,000.
Wow,
It's very
that's
nice.
significant.
I think it's
That's lovely.
significant. And I think what it does is, on more than one level, if your kid's about to go off in college, it's not the worst thing to see what it's like to have to study in the field, to think through a problem, because they're gonna get that pretty quickly once they're up in school.
And you did some replacement of plank paths, I'm not,
I think we have a
plank
photo of
bridges.
that.
Oh, you do?
We're gonna go, just let me see what you had next for a photo up here. I just wanted to take a minute here. One of the things, several members of the group were interested in seeing us to take some of these grassy areas, these big areas that are around the house. Why don't we try to do a pollinator garden here, which we did. So we worked with Rewild on this.
Great.
Rewild gave us a grant. Our members did the planting and the maintenance and the watering. We put a sign up there that was supplied by Rewild. So it's the beginnings of a pollinator garden there. We're gonna do a grasses garden, the 5 native grasses, which are gonna be adjacent to the front door, and we'll have those happening, so that people coming have a little something more than just a history of the house to see as they're walking in.
That's important.
Then this is Big Reed Pond. So I said it's almost a 1,200 acre park. One of the things that makes this park, Suffolk County Park in Montauk, so significant is the number of plant communities. And when we go out, we'll be doing ephemeral walks. When we have an ephemeral walk in the spring, and we go out any time of year, we can go in a very short period of time from a red maple swamp to a hickory oak forest, to grasslands, to lands in transition, and talk about, a lot of pioneer plants, invasive species, what's going on, the evolution of the marsh, and the health of this pond, which has been a primary interest of ours for many years now. It suffered a blue-green algae bloom in 14 and 15, and it's having a slow recovery from what was a large die-off of bottom life in there because it was such a severe. We're concerned with it. We get out on the pond. I think there'll be something, there'll be a photo. Just go to the next shot here. I think you'll see. Well, I'll just go through this. One of the things we do with our interns, here we are, just a typical project. There are many. We look for different species and we're going to see what we have in terms of their caliper to see how they line up with the largest within that species in the state. So we've come up with a couple that in the park may be where they're contenders for the largest species. Here they're taking the diameter of the tree, of course, dividing it by 3.14, coming up with, they're taking the circumference, dividing it, coming up with the diameter. And that's one of the factors that goes into deciding how large the tree.
It's great.
This is us, I think just an idea to give you an idea, this is what goes on. We're out with our groups, we lead some walks. This is in the middle of the park. The park is very rich and very interesting. I think there's another one. Show you something else here. Oh, this is us with the garden clubs. I just wanted to, again, to say that's behind. This is an observation platform here. And we get together. This is a mixed group of young people and old people out doing some, I think, serious botanizing, trying to get something done.
Is that a word, Ed?
Botanizing? I think it is. I think it is for today. And this is us on the pond with some interns, just to show what we'll do with this intern program. We go out, we're getting kayaks, we're getting canoes, we'll set traps. We do some examining of the shoreline. How is it changing? Are we seeing invasive species? Are we seeing other species doing well? What's happening with flowering plants? What's happening on the bottom? Set some traps, see what's going on there. What can we calibrate here in any real way to say that the pond is either recovering from the blue-green algae infestation it has or not? Is it making progress the way we want to see it happen? And so this is just an idea that one of the activities we do is to get this kids as involved as me. This was this spring, early into March, we added an osprey platform near where one came down in 2012, I guess. It came down in 2012. And we finally said, well, let's see if we can get one in that same area. We have several platforms in the park. And this is one that's brand new this spring.
Has anybody found it?
Yeah, so what you do with that is, we can go down to know what you do with that is you start by wiring some sticks onto the platform to encourage them in. We see a few more sticks in there. We do not have a pair yet on that, but I think, we're happy to put it up this year and draw some interest and see where it goes. One of the other things to mention about what goes on in the park and how we outreach, we do a number of Eagle Scout projects. If somebody's got an Eagle Scout project that they want to do, they contact me. We've done several over the years.
That's great.
This is a bridge that was in disrepair, such disrepair that it could not be used. That trail was cut off. That trail winds up to the Indian village and is an important connector between two portions of the park. A young man from up the island decided he would take it on as an Eagle Scout project, and here we are. They are putting this together, and this was his project.
It's fantastic.
But we also work on other bridges in the park. And this is another Eagle Scout project that we put up a whole series of bluebird boxes. This is this spring. Those are tree swallows. But that box is up, and we try to monitor that. We've got a number of nest boxes in the park. Yeah.
Gosh, you brought so many wonderful pictures and you have so much going on there. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What are some things that you have? I know last year I happened upon your cowboy music and you put out the sandwich board when you have an event.
Yeah. So we do have a sandwich board we put out for our events. It goes out the day of the event. With the Native American lecture series, I've been putting it out a couple of days ahead of time. Put it out on Wednesday or Thursday. We are a little bit on the far end of town, but it's a nice advertisement. We did have Skip Gorman come last year, and that's when you came. And he is a historian of legitimate American cowboy songs. He doesn't sing anything that out of a 1940s musical. And he showed up and talked about this is what the Wyoming cowboys sang when they were trying to gather the cattle, and this is what they sang for their romance songs. And he's a very talented musician. He will be back this summer again. We have him back.
Wonderful.
And yeah, that kind of event brings a different crowd. You know, what can we do? And one important thing to mention is that we have a plein air painting program that one of our members runs. Anyone comes the same way, you've never painted before, you've been painting for 30 years, show up, plein air paint, get some instruction. And then a more advanced series of workshops are run by Barbara Thomas, a very well-noted plein air painter, and they're very well attended. We get those well attended. People want to come and work with someone with real expertise and learn a little more.
And you have so many wonderful spots to
We do,
choose with
yeah,
plein air
we do.
painting. That's fantastic.
And we can also retreat into the house. There's some of there'll always some large windows looking out. So in the worst weather, people can still come work on their craft a bit.
And we have another couple minutes, but how do people find out about the programs that you have upcoming?
Yeah,
What's
well,
the best
we're on
way?
social media and that goes out and people could see it on Facebook and they can see it, it goes on Instagram, but
Third House Nature
Third House
Center.
Nature Center, yeah. And Third House Nature Center has a website, and on that website are listed events, and those events can be seen there. There's also a phone number there on our website. There's also an email address, and certainly with anyone with specific questions can, and if they want to get involved with us in some way, if you want to help us with our docent program, if you want to help us do any of the projects, we do eradication of invasive species in different places in the park. You want to help us identifying things, you want to help us with bridge repair, you can contact us and I'll keep you busy for sure. We have a lot to do.
We're always looking for volunteers,
For
right?
volunteers. I said the thing about the jokes that around nonprofits is that if you attend a meeting, they make you a member, and if you raise your hand, they make you an officer, because everybody needs the help, you
Right.
know? So when you're looking to do a project and you're in a nonprofit, you ask yourself about I call them the 2 M's. Do we have the money and do we have the manpower? And if we have 4 volunteers who want to do it, or 2 volunteers, we can do it. We'll find the money. And if we have something that's really ambitious and expensive, then we have to reach out and we have to be lucky enough to have a grant that was given through your office to us, so we can say, well, we do have a little money now, we can do that.
Right.
And we get some donations from people and we try to move forward with what we have.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today, Ed. It
You're
was
welcome.
wonderful, and I hope that all of you, as we go into the spring and summer, take a ride out to Montauk and check out Third House Nature Center. Thank
Ann.
you.
Thanks for having me.